Okay, welcome everyone. Today I want to show you how I turn one of my stagnant magnifying glasses. This is a typical blank. You see the size in general with my hand in there. Here's one where I've started to turn it of the same wood. So I get it to this point, but first let me take you over here to the lathe and show you what I have in store for you today. This blank is laminated, as you can see, and this is a core of a dark wood. I can't really identify it. The outside is maple, and in there you see those little strips. Those are dyed veneer. The bottom is sycamore, and so I'm going to show you how I take it from start to finish. Now you can see I start with the bottom. That's the only way I've really found to do this properly, because that way I can do a typical spindle turn here between the chuck and the rotating life center here, or life tailstock. And once I get it to that point, then I can flip it around and hold it on the turn base and put a live center in my tailstock again and turn it to the finish. But we'll get to that as we go along. So let's start here. I'm going to set the camera up and we'll get this underway. Okay, now that you're in position, I'm going to show you how I start with the bottom here. We're going to do the outside, maybe some of this inside, but maybe I'll wait until I get the camera flipped to reposition again. But let's do the bottom and the outside here. Power up the lathe. And let's just make this thing thoroughly round first. I do like to turn fairly fast. Just gives me a better edge that way. Oh, I think you got to reposition this tool rest. Get a little better shot at it. Sycamore is kind of soft. It's nice to turn. That's pretty much that. Still got a little bit of cut my I thought. Yeah, I can feel some saw marks there still. One more shot. I know this has it. Okay. Now I'm going to change tools and change the positioning of the tool rest here. It's got some nice curl to it in there, and that's what I was hoping for. That's why I stayed close to a knot. I kind of like knots. They can be rather fun to turn at times, but I think they're worth the effort. So you see I got the different tool now. This is the one that I make. And it just uses 1/4 inch bits. I'm just making sure that it's completely flat, particularly in the outside edge. Now I'm going to go in and build a little recess. And carry it across here. That's pretty close to it. I don't go real deep. I just like it to have a little recess. Helps assure that the base is going to stay nice and stable when it's set down on something. Now you can see I'm not getting very close here. That's not a concern right now. I'm going to show you how I make all that go away as we get a little further along here. Now I'm going to put 2 little grooves in here. I just use a simple point tool that I make. This is a micro tool version. Uses 1/8 inch bits, and I just have it ground into a nice little V. I spin it up really kind of quick because go fairly deep. This just gives me a signature ring to work on later when I use a pyrography just to write identification in there. So at this point, this is where the bottom and the sides stay. That'll let me reposition the camera and we'll start working on the main part of this. Okay, let me get my tool rest around here. Now it's hard to get really in tight here because of course you got that base sticking out, but I get close enough to get the job done. So now I'm just going to a simple Sorby roughing tool. And I take light cuts because I'm going to get chip out on these corners, I'm sure. I just try and keep it to a minimum. I'll start shaping that. This ring here that you see, that dark ring, that's Wenge. And if I run this tool into that, it's probably going to try to catch it. So I'm going to steer clear of that with this tool. I'll get it with the spindle gouge. And I'll do that when I run these sides into the main body. It helps to be able to turn with either hand. I find I've kind of practiced myself on that, and because when you're doing this kind of work, try to turn when you're right-handed and this side coming in, it's just more difficult. So I just got good at using both our hands. I guess I got my balance reasonably well here. You see all these little vertical lines are kind of look equal, which is something I try to get to also. Sometimes it's luck of the draw, but I do put some effort into it. So let's get back a little ways, because I'm going to start shaping this edge here. And, the sycamore, when you're doing this end grain, it does try to catch. It's really difficult, actually. When you're starting on the edge, it wants to grab it. Yep. Turn the tool a little bit, maybe. The thing you want to do is really just lay it on there and let it establish a cut a little bit and give you an edge, and then you can start pushing it in. But I've been doing this a while and I still have it catch me. Now let's see if we can start running a little bit of this off here. And that Wenger is all end grain, so that could get kind of ornery at times. Come on. That glue is kind of a bear. Now actually, I'm going to go back to this tool. This just helps me shape into the curvature a little bit. I want to get this down and put a curve in here. I gotta drop my tool rest. When I use that tool, it likes to be at a rest a little lower. So let's carry on. Now before I put the final sweep on here, I'm going to take this tool and really sharpen it, because then I get a better edge when I do that. Better surface, rather. And yes, a better edge. But this has got a pretty good look to it right now. It's coming together. Let me go Well, maybe I won't go sharpen it right now. What I will do now is start getting my blend going here. How's that looking? Not looking too terrible. Got some nice design coming in here. Now, I think I will do, I don't know, maybe just a continuous taper. I want to get down at the end where I'm going to mount the magnifying glass to maybe ½ inch or so. And I think I got enough distance to have a nice smooth taper here, which can get tricky. Might put a break point, actually. See, sometimes you come up with this and you got to design while you're turning, because, and that's good because it keeps it a bit more spontaneous, I think. Let's see here. If I were to do that's not too bad, is it? I think I'll pull it in a little smaller here. Now I'm going to make a sharp edge here, or a sharp rise, I guess you'd call it. So let's pull in a little more of a taper, though. I think I want to shoot for a lower target here. Yeah, I think this is going to look pretty good. Looks pretty good already, so now I think what I want to do, get my detail gouge out. I'm going to start working this in. I think I'm going to make a good shoulder right about here. So let's see about getting that together here. This is that might be reasonably good. Yeah. Okay, I think that's as far as we can go here in this orientation. I'm going to sand it, and I can do that off camera. Sanding tends to be boring, and also I have to turn the dust collector on. It makes a roar, and that's not pleasant. So I'll just sand this up and then I'll bring you back and we'll get to flipping this around and completing it. Okay, I've got this thing sanded up to where we left off, and then we'll be flipping it around. But first thing, or the next thing rather, that we want to do before we pull this out is take this nub off. So let's get the tailstock out of the way. See that nub there? We want that to go away, of course. We want it to be flat there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up my big tool rest. Now this is put in position all the way down just to support my hand. So what's going to happen here, so I got this tool, just your average rotary tool with a nice coarse cutter on it. Going to power up the lathe. We're going to turn this slow. So turn the tool on. Then we turn the lathe on. Now you see we got this thing going nice and slow. And I'm going to just sort of support it here. And just start taking this off. There you go, nice and slow. And you don't put too much pressure on because these coarse tools, particularly in something softish, rather soft anyway, like this sycamore, it's happy to dive in and get what really qualifies as a catch. And you just got more work to do. So you see I'm just gently taking it off, nice and slow. The lathe turning just assures that you're going to do it evenly. Normally I would have the dust collector on, but I don't want that roar going. Almost done with this. It's still a little high there. And that's where you got to be careful. You can go too low pretty quickly. Because the combination of the lathe turning and this tool spinning and that bit, yeah, it can run away from you. That's why I keep the tool rest there, just to steady my hand. I think we still got to sweep a little more off here. Yeah. Still a little high. A little bit of concentration and patience is all you need. And that's good for now. I think what we're going to do, let's shut the lathe down, take this out of the way. And now, I don't spin the lathe at this point. It's still a little rough there. But I want to do cross sanding on this thing. That way there you can blend those circles away. If you spin it and try to do that, this thing seems almost like it's a little bit loose. Got good potential of getting out of hand. See, now we're getting making those circles go away. So I find working it this way, this is about 120 grit. I could go 100, but I just didn't have any around. This is cut and ready to go. So. And as you all know, I'm sure, the coarse is the one that you spend the most time on. The other stuff It's just for getting the surface where you want it, but blends like this call for coarse. Now we're getting them to pretty much all disappear. Yeah, a little bit more to go. Now if you try to just jump to your finer grits at this stage, you either have to settle with seeing some visual remnants of those circles where you ground the nub down, or you have to go back to the course, start all over again. And I have done that. But we're getting there. I think at this stage I'm just about there. So now I can spin it with the same grit and really start getting it down. So now it's all gone. Now I can go with the other grits, finer, and get this to the final process. I still like to support this with my hand a little bit just to get the vibrations out. So I will continue to work that down, and then we'll be ready to take this out and go to the next step. Okay, I took it off, looking pretty good. See, the bottom's nicely cleaned up. Now, of course, the reason why that had to be done before we finish off the top, hopefully is obvious. If I finish off the top, there'd be no way to chuck this back in to do the bottom. So you'd have to do it entirely on the bench, which is possible, but a lot more convenient this way. So you see, I've changed out the chuck. I got my grippers on here with the little standoffs to bring it up to level. So let's tighten this up slightly, just enough to hold it at this point. There we go. We might loosen that later. Now I got a center point already established there. This is pretty darn close, actually. So just barely have to move it over. I like to center this with the established center to keep the registration and everything lined up. And this one didn't come off too far off. So good and good. Now I'm going to tighten this up for the final. Then put this point in place. Now, this point, just a ball bearing point. And that's going to hold the end while we finish the top crown here. Now, this, as you can see, is pretty gnarly. And most of this is all going to disappear. Just want to leave some of it up here, and I'll show you as we shape it how that goes. So let's get going on this. Put a tool rest in place would be handy. I'm not that good. I do need a tool rest. And now we can get fairly close in here, but I don't want to creep up too close. I'm going to go back to the roughing gouge here. So now we're going to spin it back up. And light cuts, remember? Oh, I think I got the tool rest too high again. Yeah. I always shut the lathe off when I adjust this thing. I just don't feel good when I spin it like that. So, get it started here. want to get a little bit of a curve to this. And I'm going to pull it a little tighter, raise the tool rest up a little bit. I think that's about good. I want a nice little curve to make a nice presentation here. Like that, I think. Pretty much what I want. And shape-wise, I'm pretty happy with that. About the diameter I wanted to end up with. The balance is good. And so now, all I really have to do is sand this, and the turning part of this is pretty much done. And then we'll get to finishing the very end, because the very end, because of how the magnifying glass mounts, gets a M6 by 1 thread. And I thread it right into the wood because I'm going to make a little stud on the magnifying glass to thread in there, but I'm going to put an adhesive on it, so once it's in place, that adhesive will lock in and it's not going to move anymore. So that part I think is maybe something we could just skip, because I'm sure you guys have all this is just a machine thread, no insert, and simple as could be. But as far as the turning, this magnifying glass stand is just about done. I like the way it looks. So, see you later.